type in apt get upgrade update and that stuff, that is very much in that's not secure, to be very honest, because when you are dealing with a rolling distribution, there could be some chances that the developers are working on a file, and you installed a corrupted file which was under development in your system. Although there are flags to just bypass this thing. If I could just uh, I'll be giving you a live demo. See, if I type in here apt get upgrade, so you see that this is telling me apt upgrade is unsafe on rolling release distribution using apt full upgrade instead. But what I guess, see, this error. Why it gave me this error? Because I didn't use super user permissions there. If I use super user, that will be gone. But I just want to show you this part because on a rolling distribution there are pretty much chances, yeah, that you will download a corrupted file. Although there is here full upgrade option, and by default it uses full upgrade, but I suspect that Parrot used to be a very good system, and I have done a lot of fun with this. But when you do heavy tasking in Parrot, and you might have noticed during my sessions, I don't know, this may be a problem with my firmware. Actually, I'm using a very new firmware from Asus. So not from, actually my laptop is Asus. The firmware is Realtek. So actually, I'm using an A15. So I don't know. Maybe they have some compatibility issues or something like that. But I prefer Kali because it is heavyweight. Kali is a very heavyweight operating system, but Kali has more power, to be very honest. And this is my experience. I have been using Kali since past 4 years, Parrot since past 2 years. But Kali can do heavy tasking. Parrot too can do heavy tasking, but I doubt that because my firmware it is unable to do that.
Yeah, but Kali
So
is
I
like
don't.
heavy with the heavy thing as well, and Kali is like not able to run by the beginner, right? If the beginner guys
Yeah,
able to put on that
yeah.
in the starting, he will face so many of issues definitely.
Yeah, you will face so many of issues. That's the right thing, because you see here the UI is pretty much customizable. You get the applications, you know that there is a privacy section, there is anon surf out there, there's metadata cleaner, there is cryptography section. But what happens in Kali is you don't get anon surf. You have to just install anon surf by default. I don't know whether maybe they have just included that in 2020.4 release, but the UI difference is there. The UI here is pretty much noob friendly, to be very honest. But when it comes to heavy tasking, I still prefer uh, Kali Linux. My first choice would be Kali. And if you are an OSCP aspirant, I will surely tell you to do Kali, uh, because it is meant for that. The course is all the PWK that the course we get is built in Kali, so that makes it the operating system to go with. So I'm just starting my services to start my test environment. Apache 2 is the web server, and MariaDB is the database.
So
You
let
could
me,
feel free.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The recording has been started. You can start now. Yeah, Churchid, you will definitely get the recording by Tuesday. So we will like upload it in our YouTube channel, and we'll mail to you as well with the links. And Bharat, you will get the new version of the Kali from the kali.org. Just um, browse it, and you will get the link of the downloading the Kali version definitely. Okay, great. Over to you, Faizan, and happy learning, guys.
Fine. So guys, this will be our testing environment. And why I'm choosing this, because this is on local host and we have discussed that thing yesterday. Fine. So today our main focus would be discussing vulnerabilities, and we'll cover three vulnerabilities in today's session as far as the time will allow us. Fine. So firstly we'll be talking of some basics, real basics. Fine. So I'm pretty sure that all of you may have been using Facebook or social media sites or any site wherein you get to upload a file, wherein you get to download content, wherein you get to interact with the web server. Yeah, you interact with web server in how can you interact with a web server? You either comment down on a page and that goes on the back end, or you just upload your profile picture in the Facebook. This is also an example. If we upload a video on YouTube, you're interacting with the web server. Yeah. So there is a hand risen by Srishti. Srishti, do you have any questions? Please, guys, if you have any question, guys, you can.
Srishti has only one question when they get the recording. So, guys, I am repeating again. You all will get the recordings by Tuesday on our YouTube channel, Hack the Mountains. You can get it there. Srishti, I had already unmuted you. Please unmute yourself from there. Yeah, Fizan, you can carry on.
Fine, fine, fine. Guys, if you have any question, feel free to ask the questions on either text or just, open up your mic and speak up. So what I was saying that in couple of ways and many different ways you can interact with the server. So I'll be giving you a live demonstration. Fine. Let's go to youtube.com. So this will actually just ignore the content, guys. So what is really, this is a web application. Fine, to be very honest. And you will just watch that as soon as I type in something here on the URL, a parameter will get added, that is q. Actually, I remember it because I have tested this a lot of times. Let's try it out. I'm typing in any random stuff. Fine. Okay, this time we got a search query equal to THEIHE. Fine, this could be any parameter. Generally, we used to get a Q. This can be any parameter. Fine. So I just want to say you that here that see here we got a search query equal to THE. If I append the URL and just type in anything here, would the results change? Let's see. Yeah, this the same thing got replicated here. Why did it happen? Because how we interact with a web application is very dynamic. Fine, we could control the stuff, how it parses our input, how it parses our commands from the URL directly. Fine. So what is happening at the back end of this stuff, we'll be dealing with that too soon. But I just want to tell you guys that URL, when you're dealing with web applications, is a very pretty important field, because you will learn that a lot of vulnerabilities are URL based. Most simple, what I can tell you is there are session cookies that are transmitted in URL. There are input goes in and the output comes in. See, if I put in anything here, the same output will be relevant to that. Fine. So basic things first, guys. Web application is heavily dependent on user input. See, if it was a website with only four clickable buttons, simple website, we had pretty limited choices. Yeah, we knew that there was a home button, there was an info page, there was a sign up, and we could do nothing else. But here in web application, see, we can do a lot of stuff. Yeah. So what if, have you ever thought like, what if I just sent in a malformed query, something, if I could enter here like just an any script, fine. Just this won't work in the case of YouTube because this is highly maintained. But what if I type in this here? This is a simple XSS script, XSS vector, attack vector, and this is a reflected one. There are a lot of attack vectors, and we'll be dealing them with them in the course of our context. But what if I type in this? So this was passed here, but nothing happened. See, we got the basic accesses guide and all that stuff because these YouTube videos used these tags in their videos to push them up. Fine, but if this was passed as a Java as part of a JavaScript, see what does a script tag tell web application to do? It tells web application that this part, the script tag shouldn't be shown to the user at the front end. It should be evaluated on the back end because this is a JavaScript fine code, and this should be evaluated in the back end. The front end user should not see this. Simple example. Let's go here. Let's type in hello. If I had just saved this, okay. This is just an example for you guys. We won't be touching XSS today because I know this is pretty much basic. We'll be doing some real stuff today. What if I just do this like this? Fine, this is the script opening tag and the closing tag, and this is the alert. This will pop up the alert button. So actually, I have set up the security level to impossible. So let's turn it on to low. See, impossible is the best security level, and you can't break it as of now. Fine. So going back here, so you see that here is a two an alert with a message called two popped up on our screens. Let's try it again. Fine, because the previous time we tried that wasn't successful. Fine, I'll be typing it again. So here is the attack. This should work out now. Okay, actually it is showing me the previous stored one. So I just I just have to wipe out my entire database. So let's test in here. Script alert. Okay, fine. This parameter isn't vulnerable. So if I could, yeah, clear the guest book. See, this parameter wasn't vulnerable because when I just type in, I can't continue ahead. Fine, and any XSS vector for this content, although there are short XSS vectors, we'll learn later, savage, onload, and on mouse over. There are different types of vectors, and I actually have a full cheat list for that. But for right now, just learn that name parameter isn't vulnerable, and let's test in message same. Fine. What if I type in you have been hacked, and I just close it here. Fine. Alert, and this goes like this. Nothing really pops up. Actually, I had to use the semicolon. I'm really sorry. um Script alert and colon. Let's try hacked. Fine, this should be the game now. Script alert hacked. Fine. So what really happened? The web application passed our input unfiltered because it hadn't the measures that it could check whether the user is entering any code, whether it's entering any script, or whether it's just a normal command. Fine, or a normal input or a message. It just passed in, and the browser executed it as a script. So that's why we got a message like this. Now imagine what an attacker can do. Fine. So one thing we learned here is that web applications are pretty much dependent on user input. Fine. Here it wasn't This is a very basic vector, and script alert one script won't be applicable in the real world today, because there are, although there are some advanced vectors, and we could just search or Google that what are the XSS cheat sheets. Fine, we call them cheat sheets. Pardon me if I have any. Yeah, fine. So here's the cheat sheet, here's the filter revision. You could just look at this stuff all over the internet, and I have my own cheat sheet as well. I'll be sharing that with you all. Fine. Okay, does anyone have any questions? No. Fine. So what we learned is that uh, web applications are dependent on user input. Yeah. So for today's session, we'll be just dealing with command injection here. Fine. And then we'll be going with file upload, because this thing you may have seen in your day-to-day lives. Fine. When we update our Facebook profile picture, when we update our WhatsApp profile picture, what if we could embed malware in our profile picture? Fine. Do you have any idea how that thing could really work? How we could just abuse this functionality? If there is an image upload button, how we could just upload a PHP backdoor? So we'll be doing all this stuff here, but since before starting, I just want you all to get some real basic knowledge. See, we have a function called as ping in bash. Fine. So what it does essentially, ping is used to send data packets to any target. Fine. So if I type in ping 8.8.8.8, this is an IPv4 address. Fine. I am assuming that you know that what an IP address is. And IP address is just this is here, and just remember that's an integer based a form, four byte separated by four dots. In simple words, there are IPv4 classes. There is IPv6. Then fine, but for just being very simpler, just remember that IP address is based on integer pattern, and actually we call that 0 to 9. But just for this course, remember that this can be from 0 to 9 IPv4, and it is usually used to establish your connection. If you have an IP address, you are connected to the internet. Fine. Now there comes the concept of local IP, external IP, public IP, private IP. I don't want to go in detail over that thing, but just remember that if you have an IP, you are connected to network. In very basic terms, that network can be your intranet, internet, or anything. But IP address is something that is used to identify you over the internet. Fine. So ping is a function that sends in data packets to the requested IP and checks whether the packets are reaching the end host or not. Fine. So if I just click on enter, you could see that my system started sending in pings. I just terminated it with Control C. So let's break it down. Fine. What really happened? This was a bytes of data sent. Fine. 8.8 dot again the IP, 64 bytes in first sequence, and then again the 64 bytes, 64 bytes, 64 bytes. Now, this tells me that the host is up. 8.8.8.8 is up. It is on internet. It is a website. It could be anything. It could be a server, random. It could be anything, but it exists somewhere. Fine. And this is communicating. Now, suppose that I type in, you could just type in clear, clear text addresses as well. You see here, it gives me the IP address of google.com and all that stuff. Fine. And again, I started the communication. I'll be again terminating it. So now let's type in some address that is really easy. Fine. This isn't available on the internet. Now let's see what happens. So actually, this won't execute if the host isn't present on the internet. This won't execute, and it will throw an error message. Yeah, here you see that name or service not known. So this is a very good function, ping. It can be used to determine whether a host is up or not. If you are doing pen test labs, you will know that why we use ping advancedly. And to be very honest, ping can be used to brute force a server, because imagine that if we send ping like 1,000, 10,000 times in 1 second. Fine. 64 bytes is a small data, but what if I just multiply it by 10,000? I create a function in bash that messes up, like it's called a DOS attack, to be very honest. But what if I just create a function and that throws in 1,100 pings? So that will be actually a DOS attack, and not going in much details over that, but this is a part of basic knowledge. Yeah. So in today's context, see, we have a very nice interface here. Fine. uh, DOS attack. Yeah. So we have an interface here, and it tells me that you could enter an IP address. Now let's type in, as a web application pen tester, I'll be first checking in, hey, what would be the response? Fine. I'll be typing in the same response. So I'll be just submitting it. So you see the same output as we got here, but here we got only four sequences, only three sequences. Fine. No, actually four. We got four sequences, and then the connection terminated. So I can just what I can interpret from this, this is equal to ping C4. It's a flag used to enter. Fine. Let's just try this thing. See, we got the same reply. This same thing we got here. Fine. So C4 is actually used to tell this function that I want a count of four sequences. Fine. Same we got here. Is there any difference or any confusion till right now, guys? This is pretty basic because ping is something, just used to ping someone. If we deal it with it in plain English, ping is just, hey, I'm just pinging that guy, I'm pinging him, means I'm just communicating with him rather. Fine, clear. So this was a function. This console here is equal to ping C4. Yeah, and it expects an argument or any IP address. But now
Fazan,
what if I am a bad guy?
hello, Fazan.
Yeah,
There is one
yeah,
question by the Muhammad. What is the link between the ping and command injection?
yeah. You will learn. We will be actually don't we will be talking of this context and what is the command injection. How we will be having command injection here. Fine. So I just, pardon me, I'll be discussing that soon. But I was just talking about the functionality. Fine. Being a pen tester, we have to look over first. Just consider, see, command injection is the vulnerability that is present here. This isn't command injection right here, but we will exploit this functionality like pinging, and we will induce commands into the environment of application. Imagine how cool that would be. Fine. So for this course, I'm really keeping the commands very basic. Fine. See, we have certain commands like pwd. It will print out the current directory that I am in. I'm in home snowfall. Fine. Snowfall is actually my account name. uh, then I have ls. Used to list out all the folders present in that directory. Fine. So if I could show you where this is actually, I'll file system. No, this is actually here. Yeah, just see. See, home snowfall. Home was the previous folder, and this is the snowfall folder. So pwd told me that I'm in this directory, and ls gave me all the folders. Fine. There is some advanced options I could use. lsla. Sorry, lsla. Fine. This would give me all the hidden files present in the folder and their permissions. Uh, but I don't want to deviate really, because if I got deviated, guys, I won't be stopping anywhere, and this course will be like, this will turn into a 3-4 hour course. But just keeping it simple, just remember that ls is used to list out. Fine. Now let's talk in the context of how we could utilize this in that old ping function. Fine. So we had this function ping c4, and it expected an argument. um, and but what we do in bash is we could pipe out two commands. See, we have learned that there is ls, there is pwd. What if I do it like this? Okay, actually, I just need to terminate this. So you see, this semicolon here told the bash environment that, hey, this is a command, fine, this up to here, and pwd is another command. So what did bash environment do? This executed the first command, and when it got terminated, fine, then it executed the pwd. I'm just doing it again because I had to terminate it. I thought that I didn't give a count of 4. So let's do it again. Let's see. So again, fine. What we did, we used two commands together. We got the ping output. We got this stuff here. Fine. So what if we use this thing in the web application? Fine. Uh, Now you'll understand the link. What was the link? Fine. Now let's see. Ping. Oh, we don't have to enter the ping. We have to enter the IP address here. But I just enter a semicolon and print in PWD. Fine. Now let's see what, see, just observe carefully. This was the previous output. And now let's see what will happen really. Boom. Can you see something, guys? Can you, if any one of you can tell me what is the directory right now? Did the command execute? Anyone? Okay, I'm just tell me, guys. I need your answer on this. In last line, yeah. So what really happened is Lavan Suresh. Um, yeah, fine. We get the shell. Yeah, to some extent, this is a correct answer. We get a shell, but this is in a very broader sense. This is, this could get really very very deep concept. But yeah, we got a shell. Fine. So someone has risen. No hands. There was a hand somewhere. Fine. So we were able to interact with the environment. Fine. See, I won't be calling this thing we got a shell, but we were able to interact with a shell. Fine. There is a difference. We getting a shell and we being able to interact with the shell. So what we got? Fine. We got the absolute path from where this function or this file is present. So this is present. Actually, this is hosted on my own computer. So this will be revealing my own location. But in case of a real application, this will be very much sensitive data exposure. And this is P3. Fine. If you could just have a command injection, you can do real stuff there because although there I'm talking of pwd ls, there are commands like rmrf. Fine. This will delete all the system, all the files present in there. There is ng. Fine. Sorry for this. There is there are just, if I could start a listener. Fine. Can't grab. Fine. Actually my port is being used by someone. Fine. Actually, what NC does, this creates a listener. Fine. This is a netcat. NC stands for netcat, and actually my ports are actually in use because I have been doing real lot of different stuff, and I have been utilizing all of my ports. This can't bind actually to my local port because they all are in use. But let's just try in 443. That's over the internet. Uh, What should I give it here? Any example, guys? Can you tell me any good port number that is, sitting alone and waiting for me to bind? If you know what actually some ports. 40. Let's try it out. No, actually that is the wrong port. There is no service present on port 40. What if I try in this? Nothing. 80, 81. Yeah, perfect. No, we don't have to use sudo there because see, I can do that. I can do a force override and the service using this port will be denied access and netcat will be using this port. But that may be a functional service. That may be, there are lots of service. There is database. There is Apache service currently going on. There are if I could just, there are lots of services running in a system, and any port could be crucial as well. So I don't want to mess up with random port. Fine. So this started listening on my port. What if I was able to do this on the remote target? Fine. So this will really create havoc. Fine, because if it started listening, then I'll be able to communicate with that port via netcat. Fine. So I won't be going in that section currently, because we are dealing with web application pen testing. And if you could get a command injection like this, your proof of concept should only involve PWD. If you're doing netcat stuff and all this stuff, you might face actions, because see, if you will be able to get a pwd here or print the working directory, for that case you will eventually get a netcat shell or anything. Fine, you could do anything with the system, but we are good people. Fine, we don't have to mess with the system. We have to tell them, hey, this is vulnerable here. Again, let's try out some other commands. Let's do ls this time. Actually, I suspect that there would be no folder. Okay, fine. There are three files present there, and I got the output here. Fine. So you could see that there is sensitive data exposed. Fine. So this is a vulnerability actually. Command injection, you could utilize this thing in pretty much in a very broader sense. So I hope that was clear how we could use command injection. Fine. So Muhammad Idris, was it clear that what was the concept behind command injection vulnerability? See, there is a function. It's pinging, but we exploited it. Yeah. Any doubts till now, guys? Fine, perfect. So let's get into the game right now. See, this was low security level, and low you won't find anywhere. To be very honest, I have been doing pen testing. You all are pen testers. Low is something you won't be finding. Let's get into medium. Fine. Let's try out. Uh, where was I? Command injection. Now let's try out if we could just have fun with this stuff. Fine. And I type in PWD again. So what really happened, guys? See, we are typing the same input, yeah, and we aren't getting anything. What's wrong, guys? Nothing is happening. Let's try out ls. Nothing is happening. See, this tell this we can view the source code as well, the PHP source code. See, now what they have done actually, they have created a blacklist. Fine. If I type in something and is actually used, it's an operator used to append two commands. Fine. And they are changing this to space. Whoa, that's some real blacklisting. Yeah. And our small semicolon here, that too is changed into space. So what should we do now, guys? I know there are people who can answer this, so I expect an answer from them. And we have discussed this. No, we won't be touching Burp Suite for right now, because that we can do it via Burp Suite, and that's perfect answer. But for right now, I want to keep this simple, and I want a pretty quick solution here. Fine. Anyone? Fine, guys. Fine, fine. Perfectly fine. You remember last time using double time? What is time actually? I didn't get that actually. Can you please elaborate this thing using double time? This should be an open session. See, pen testing is something we learn every day. Yeah, that could be really it. Let's try it. Fine. This is what you were telling, but Semicolon was blacklisted. Let's see. No, that didn't execute actually. So fine, guys. I'll be. You remember there is something called as pipe. Yeah, there is something called as pipe in Bash in Linux flavored operating systems. So pipe, what it does, it is actually, yeah, Akshay Patel, perfect. Pipe, it pipes output. To be very honest. So what it does, I'll be giving an example. Ping 8.8.8.8, fine. And if I put in a pipe, so what it does, if I then put in pwd, what it really does is it actually pipes the output of this function to this function. Fine. Let's understand this in detail because this is a good concept here. See, the ping will return something. There will be an output. Fine. And pipe tells it, hey, this is a tunnel, or just consider pipe as a tunnel. Fine. The output passes through the tunnel and goes as input to pwd. But does pwd have any input, guys? Does it expect any argument? Fine. Last time we typed pwd, there was no argument for it, right? So when pwd gets input from here, fine, it tells the input, go get lost. I don't need you. I'll be doing my job. I don't care about you. So let's try it out here. So you see the input got lost because pwd told it that I don't need the input and it got lost. Fine. uh, what we essentially got, command execution. Yeah, was that clear, guys? See, ping function gave the output, but that what got lost in between because pwd didn't expect an input. So it did its job and printed the directory here. Now let's try it here again. 8.8.8.8 and pwd. Yeah, was that successful? Yeah, that will be a question. That is a good question from Charchit. Yeah, perfect question. But that is actually the high level, and we'll be discussing in that. We'll be discussing this stuff soon. So yeah, we can't see the PHP source code in real. I know that, and that's why I just want to tell you some. I have kept some, a good summary at the end. I'll tell you how actually pen testing is. This isn't about going in and firing out your weapon and doing stuff like, hey, I know everything. Pen testing, there is a word called testing in this. Fine. So you have to test out every argument, every stuff, and maybe there may be a possibility. Fine. So we have to always test out. You can't see the PHP backend code. Yeah, I know that because if you could see this, that even it in itself, this is a vulnerability. If you could see source code, but pen testing has a word called testing in it. Fine. So as pen testers, we have to always test out. We have to put in pipe. We have to put in semicolon. We have to put in commas. We have to put in everything. Fine. Now let's just go for the higher level. Now what? Any idea, guys? See, I know that we can't view the source code, but we in real terms we have to always keep testing. And while we will move to file upload, you will know that we won't be using any source code. But for your enhancement, I want you people to answer me this thing. See, we'll view the source code. No, we won't be using burp suite in command injection. See, I just want to tell you that there are bad coding practices. There are errors. So we will just view the source for right now. And see, there is a blacklist. And to be honest, I don't know any operator in Bash rather than these that could append our commands. Fine. There may be some other operators, but to my knowledge, there are no else operators. So what do we do now, guys? Any idea, guys? See, the answer is hidden here. If you could all just, I want your observation. Perfect, 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 Charchit. That was a perfect answer. Uh, see, what is a blacklist setup here? Fine. They are blacklisting everything that is off the form. And there's a pipe and a space. Fine. If I can go back to source, fine. See, pipe and space. The inverted comma is actually, a little bit ahead. Fine. There's a space, and the blacklist is set for that. What if we just typed in the command without space? Will it execute? Yeah, it got executed. So, see, command injection, I just want to make you guys aware that bad coding practices. See, Churchit, when you typed this thing first, I doubt that there was a space here too. Yeah. So sometimes what happens is when we code, when users at the backend code, they commit mistakes. Fine. So we have to be in over the look for those mistakes. And how we could figure out, we have to first of all keep testing. See, we can automate our testing with burp intruder, and for that case we'll be doing that too in our course. But for right now, just remember that there is something called as testing in pen testing, and we have to always keep out testing. We have to look over for weaker areas and try out every stuff we know. Fine. So we know the source code now. There was a blacklist, there was an error here. Now let's compare all the levels. Fine, that is the gist. We want to know what is in the impossible. Now let's view the source code of impossible. Whoa, man. So first of all, there isn't a blacklist. See, this is the impossible level, and why it is impossible? Uh, why? Fine. Let's talk of it. See, it gets an input and it splits the input into 4 octets and uses the separator dot. See, IPv4 was dot 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 dot. Fine, and then it checks out that each octet is an integer. So this is the best coding practices as of now. Fine, and this is absolute functioning after this. But what really happened, see, we got octets 3, 2, 1 and 0. Now here, do you think that there would be any chance on of entering, let's leave command for a side, any chance of entering any word or any character from alphabet, English alphabet, in the best source code? Any idea, guys? If anyone could do that, I'll be sending him a chocolate right now. This is a chocolate question. And I know that that's impossible. I'm really sorry. But do you have any idea, guys? How any idea? See, we could just generate an idea. This may be not 100% impossible. We have to always keep looking out. Maybe we could just induce, but to my sense, this is highly impossible. If you guys could tell me any way you could just think. What if anyone writes SC codes for commands? That is actually a very Good idea, but see, let's interpret the source code. So ASCII code is actually a conversion for your commands or your text. See what really is happening here. Fine. See, if you could use the, see, let's go for ASCII conversion, text to ASCII. Let's try out. If it could work, we could create history right now. But to my sense, this won't be working, and I'll tell you why. Fine. Suppose we have a command like pwd. See, the ASCII conversion told us this is this. Fine. This is what you're saying now. Uh, see, I'll just copy this. So I'll be just commenting it out here. Fine. So see the source code first. Fine. So what really is happening here? This uses an identifier. Fine. So firstly, the dot should be there. Fine. See, not only dots. There is a lot of thing after that. Then it splits it into octets. Fine. If we'll be splitting this thing, see, for command to execute, this all stuff should go in as one octet. But firstly, space isn't in the parameter. Fine, space, there is 112 space 119. So space isn't any octet, neither it's an integer. So I guess that won't be running. Yeah, let's try it out. Maybe that was a very nice try, Charchit. You just rocked it. So guys, this is the best source code for right now. Maybe in future we get a vulnerability for this because things change, time change, and they get new developments. But for right now, this is the best practice. And now let's move towards our main topic for today. Fine, that is the file upload. Yeah, I'll be going to low security, starting in from low again, and we won't be viewing the source code for this for this task. Fine, at the end we'll be comparing to learn to gain experience, but we won't be viewing the source code. So see, file upload is a very critical vulnerability because it can compromise your system, and we'll be dealing with this thing in a very short time. uh, Now let me first of all close this stuff. Fine. It gives me an error. The PHP module GD isn't installed. So I pardon for that. Actually, that isn't an issue when you can see here PHP module GD. Only an issue if you want to play with captchas. And we are not doing insecure captcha because this is pretty easy. And this is, we'll do it later if there was time. But I can show you a POC video of mine. I have been doing insecure captcha in real time. So I can show you a proof of concept for that. But this is pretty easy and you can do this by your own self. We'll be doing file upload, and that's a very big vulnerability for today. So for today's workshop, we have to deal with the file upload because this is what you see mostly on the internet. Yeah. See, this tells us choose an image to upload. Fine. So how many of you have heard about reverse shells? Yeah, perfect. You have heard, Chachit. Me, yes. So what a reverse shell does, actually, there are two types of reverse shell. There is bind shell. There is, just a simple plain over the TCP or any, protocol, just simple reverse shell. Now, putting it in a very simple term, a reverse shell conveys back-end information to you via a socket. Fine. And that entirely depends on you how you set up the socket. Fine. So this is a bind shell, and how we actually use this stuff. See, in layman's language, I'll just put it up here because I know that this may be somewhat difficult. See, suppose this file is here, screenshot, and this is the response file here. See, this is the user, fine, and this is the server. What really happens? Suppose that this folder accesses strike is the data from user to server, fine. This went here, fine, and this server sends in a response, fine. But can you ever think that what if we just malformed this and we made this server the user and the user the server in a way, fine. So what would really happen? This server would be sending its data via a shell. We will be getting a shell, fine. See, in command injection we were interacting with a shell, but in file upload vulnerability and how we will be getting that I'll be discussing, we'll be getting a shell, reverse shell, fine. So this reverses the conversation. This is reverse TCP, fine. TCP is the transmission control protocol under which data is, you know, transmitted into file packets and converted into small, really small items, and then it reaches the server. That's really networking out there. But a PHP reverse shell, what it does is it reverses the connection. It makes user the boss, and tells the server that you are the one who is the user, fine. And the user, which is the server, sends in data here, fine. And the user sends in the response as server, but those response are commands that would be evaluating on the shell, fine. There are PHP reverse shells, there are Python reverse shells, there are Perl reverse shells, there are Ruby reverse shells. There is reverse shelling you could do in a lot programming language, fine. But for this course we'll be using PHP, and PHP is used mostly because most of the web servers out there, they interact PHP, fine. They use PHP. We have source code generally written in PHP because most programmers use that, to be very honest. So either we can use, can you tell me any source how we just get a PHP reverse shell? Anyone? Metasploit. Yeah, perfect, Chachit. See, Metasploit is actually when you have done the reconnaissance phase and you know that target is using some version that can be exploitable, and I can use something to connect to that. Fine, there are people saying Weavly, guys, you just rocked it. You deserve a huge round of applause. Weavly is actually a built-in tool in Linux that can be used to generate weaponized web shells. Fine. There is also external web sources from where you can get. For example, there is Pentest Monkey. If I remember, there was a PHP reverse shell from Pentest Monkey in back days. I don't know if it is still up there. Yeah, this is the PHP reverse shell. So if I could just, I don't want to download this right now because for this course we'll be using Weebly, but I just want to show you guys that. Yeah, this is the PHP reversal. See, these are all comments. The double slash is used as in commenting in PHP. So this is the IP address that will be used to communicate, and we have to set this up as our external IP. And this is the port used to communicate. Fine. And this is the other coding, the shell. How does the shell execute, from which stream it does, how it does upstreaming, how it does downstreaming, and how other data stuff is being carried out. So we have nothing to do with this right now. We aren't coding in exploits. This isn't an exploit development course. But what we have to do, we have to change this. So here you can see a comments to change this. So this is our external IP when we are dealing with an external web server, and this is the port, fine. But Weavly is a tool wherein we don't even need to change this, fine. So Weavly is inbuilt in actually Parrot as well as in Kali, and maybe in some other distros as well. I have used Parrot, Kali, and Tails. for my case, but I have no experience really doing other pen testing with other OSs. Fine. So we'll be doing a man weavly. Man stands for manual, and if you don't know anything what is really happening on your system, I'll tell you, just go through man and it will show you the stuff. Fine. So I got the manual for weavly. Fine. So here you can see weavly stands for weaponized web shell. Fine. A web shell designed for post exploitation purpose that can be extended over the network at runtime, upload Weavly PHP agent on a target web server, and we could just connect to it remotely. Fine, that's it. So here is the instructions how we, connect to it, how we generate, and how we load the session file if we have a previous session. Fine. Then there are some features. We could shell access the target. We could SQL console. We could proxy the server. We could upload and download. There is a lot of things. And for this course, what we have to take from a proof of concept is, if we could get a reverse shell on any of the target, that's it. We are advised to stop there, because after that it is obvious. If you were able to connect to the server via web shell, it is obvious you could damage the server. And companies don't want to lose their private information. For this type of vulnerability, you will get thousands of dollars, but this requires some real good interpretation of data and stuff. We'll be doing this. So let's just generate a web shell. So this is actually used to generate an encrypted web shell. Now, if I were to be going into details of what is an encrypted web shell and what is the difference, see, when we upload a web shell, it contains our external IP. See, we could spoof that, we could use things, but at the end of the day, what could happen? Agencies could really track you. Now, I know I'm speaking like a bad guy, but to do the good, we have to think consequences. Fine. So this, what it does, it encodes everything, and it uses 5 layer of encryption. I have read its source code. It uses base 64 tunnel, then a hexadecimal tunnel, then again the data goes through a hexadecimal tunnel, and then it at the end enforces a base 64 tunnel again. So it consists of a heavy encryption. Fine, I'll just show you an example. Fine, so clearing it. Uh, CD is used to change directory. Fine. So our source code was Weavly. So the password for this course will be setting it 12345. I'm really keeping it simple. But if you are doing, real pen testing, you don't want this to be real simple, because this could be brute forced. Uh, Generating our reverse shell. Let's keep it as bug.php. We got generated bug.php, and you could see here. Fine. Now let's see what really is inside it. So, guys, is there anything you could understand? See, I know that there is PHP encoding, there are some variables being called, there is string replace function, there is string replace function again here. But apart from that, anything you could see, any external IP, any port from where it's communicating or stuff like that. See, you could see something called base 64 here, but anything else like that could be used to de-anonymize you? Not this, not this. I'm sorry. Going back here. So anything you find in here that can be used to de-anonymize us, or to find out wherein from the web shell was generated. This is the feature of encryption. Yeah, when you encrypt a file, there is really it gets really difficult to diagnose things and tell where from that it originated and stuff like that. Although there are chances that the metadata, now this involves something called as reverse engineering, and for this course that's out of bounds. This is a little bit higher level. We could reverse engineer this whole code and I have done reverse engineering this stuff as well. And at last, what we get is the username of the user. Fine, like here, I'll be getting this thing. See, I'm not that great, 100% of reverse engineering, but I know well reverse engineering to my level. Only thing I could get in from this is this username. Fine. So and this encoding is random. You can't tell whether this part is base 64 encoded or this part. And the keys to this are very different. Fine. This involves encryption, and I don't really want to go in for encryption for today's lecture. So guys, let's go back to our lecture. Uh, so we were here, fine. So this gives us a functionality that we have to choose an image to upload. Fine. So what if we upload a PHP reverse shell? Yeah, let's try it. I'm in my desktop. Bug.php was the program we created. There is bug.php, and let's try uploading it. Fine. So we actually got to know that this system at low security is vulnerable because we were able to upload a PHP reverse shell. Fine. That wasn't the function was intended to upload an image. Yeah, we uploaded a PHP reverse shell. But what now? What now? See, this also tells me the location to where it was uploaded. Dot dot and slash is the directory backward travels or in Linux. So this tells me that this was uploaded to this folder, hackable slash uploads, two directories back from the current directory. So I am currently in upload folder, and then I go back. I get out of upload, then I go back one more time, and I go back into dvwa. So the real URL is dvwa hackable, and then uploads, then bug.php. Yeah. Or if I just copy this all, I just put it here now. Fine. I have to actually copy this URL first, and just I could do it both ways. I can just go back to directories or just do a directory traversal. Fine, that's one and the same thing. So I just do this thing, and boom, I got a blank screen. See, in web application pen testing, if there are any questions, guys, you can feel free to ask. I hope that my screen is visible to all of you. Can you please confirm me once that my screen is really visible? Fine, fine. See, in web app pen testing, when we get a black screen, this means that something on the back end has been executed, some PHP, or that could be Python or any kind of script. Fine. See, generally, if it was a wrong URL, what would have happened? See, I'll be showing you a live demo. Let's try in any random stuff. Fine. This should have been telling me the requested URL was not found on the server. But since the file was found, guys, there was a blank screen and nothing was visible here because we didn't put any HTML, CSS, or JS in that JavaScript in that file of ours. But the PHP got executed. And how do we connect to that? See, this is pretty easy. We'll use Weebly to connect again. Password was 12345, and I just need to type in the URL. Oh, I'm sorry. Fine. The expected URL format is HTTPS. So what am I doing wrong? Can you tell me? I know what I'm doing wrong, guys. Can you tell me what am I doing wrong? I just want to know that if you have been using this stuff and Anyone who can tell me what am I doing wrong here? See, I gave the URL format here, HTTPS, and I don't know what's really wrong. What could have happened? Can you please tell me? Anyone? See, okay, fine. I won't be going back again. Let's read the manual. How do we connect? Fine. So, weebly, and then the URL, then the password. What I was doing essentially was I was supplying the password first and then the URL. So that was wrong. Yeah, I have to supply in URL, then the password. This was the password. This should connect now. Fine. We have got the shell. Fine. See, now up to this we were not confirmed that we got a shell. Now what here you can just see, I'll just www.data dash data at the rate of parrot. Since I am using this at my local host, I got a very low privilege shell. Fine. And the current folder is this. Fine. I could now execute all these commands on the system. Fine. So this is the shell. This is a very low privilege shell. I repeat again, this is not the super user shell that I got, but we got a shell. We are into the system, guys, right now. And now from here, this involves a very different aspect of cybersecurity called as privilege escalation. We go from www to a user shell, then to the root shell. Fine. And for this course, that's predominantly out of course, and that I won't be covering right now because that's a very long topic. Just remember that what we really do, we look for all the possibilities that we can exploit and get the shell to become a super user shell, and then we could delete, we can do anything with the server. But still you can see we could do a lot of things. Fine, we could download files, we could upload files, we could do anything. Fine. So this much proof of concept will get you over $1,000 in bug bounties. Fine. So I'm just exiting from the shell right now. I got back from the www data at the rate of parrot. I exited. So that was it for the low level. Now let's try it out for medium level. Yeah. Anyone has any question can just ask. Please, Mohit, feel free to interrupt me if there was a question and you could just tell me. So we will now go to, actually we have selected the medium, not the command injection, the file upload. Fine. Let's try to upload bug PHP. My image wasn't uploaded. Yeah. Now I know that this is visible to you and you can just read the descriptions, but I need answers. Now what, guys? I need help. Please help me. Now what can we do? Yeah, that is actually privilege escalation. We look for all the vulnerabilities present in that version of the system that involves reconnaissance, pre-reconnaissance, footprinting, and all the different aspects. But for web application pen testing regarding bug bounties, we are considered we consider only getting that reverse shell. Fine. We can change the format extension. Yeah, we can upload the file. We can upload the file like that, and we can do it this like that, but then we have to execute the PHP shell. How will we be doing that? If we just uploaded a .image file, how can we then upload, how can we then execute it? Burp suite, burp suite, yeah. So burp suite is, for this reason, is called the favorite tool of web application pen testers. See the magic of burp suite right now. Fine. This is burp suite, yeah. I'll be starting in my proxy. For some reasons, so I will be redirecting. I'll be telling my browser to send all the traffic through this burp suite. And how do we do that? I go into preferences, then to proxy section, then manual proxy. This is my local host 127 and port 8080 is the current port that I'll like to redirect my traffic through. Fine. Now you see, if I will just be trying to, you know, refresh this page, I'll get a request here. See, yeah, fine. This is burp suite. So burp suite in it is, just consider these examples again. This was the user, this was the server. Burp suite is here, it sits in between. It listens for all the requests. And if you tell burp suite to send, it will only send those requests you accept to send, because there are some requests you may even not know what is happening. Burp suite, it intercepts all the traffic. Fine, fine. So here is burp suite. Now let's rename this guys, this bug.php, because we have already bug.php in our uploaded folders. I'll be just writing in bug, or just type in medium. Now let's give it medium.php. Fine. What if I click on upload? Fine. I got stuff here. So let's take a couple of time to understand what really is all this. Just give me a minute. I'll actually. Fine. So see what really is visible on my screen. First, the HTTP method that is currently used in the request. See, last time we had get, now there is post. So post essentially tells me that data is being posted somewhere, to where, this location, this directory. The end folder is upload, and the host is this 127.0.0.0. 80 is the port. Fine, and that's essentially HTTP. The host is again here, it is mentioned actually. Fine. The user agent is just details about me. Accept is all the stuff that the server accepts. Fine. Language is again what the server is predominantly accepting the language and presenting the content in. Encoding, these are types of encoding, gzip and deflate. And content type is multi-part and form data. This is just, there is a form present and data is being sent in from multi-part, and there is some some really UI stuff, to be very honest. There is boundary. This may be a data boundary. This may be something, a considerable boundary to anything. Fine. This could be a boundary to anything. We have nothing to do like with this thing, because this may be a UI pattern, since this is content type. Fine. Content length tells me how many bytes, or what is really the content length. And origin is where from the request originate. Connection is being closed for this request, not the entire connection. This request, after this gets processed, connection will be terminated. The referrer is actually from where I came. Fine. Since I refresh my page, the referrer is the same website. There are some cookies. I won't discuss them right now. Cookies, as discussed right now, they are something that will validate your session. The security is medium, and the PHP session ID, this is something really important. But just remember, this is used to validate your session. Fine. Now comes the real stuff. From here, content type. So this is actually the validation the server maintains at the front end. Fine. It tells the message is generated by my browser, and is being sent to the server, and this is intercepted by my burp suite. And it has essentially saw essentially that the content type is an application and the code was PHP, XPHP. For that case, this is just telling us that this is a PHP code, and it has eventually thrown out the contents of file. This is all stuff we had in our file. Fine, if I could just see this thing and this thing here, they are same. So what it did actually, this is the message that will be going to the server. So what if I just type in here that this is not an application, this is an image with an extension of JPEG or JPG or any format you use like. What you see what really happened. Medium.php got uploaded. Fine. Why? Because the check that was being maintained was happening on client side. That wasn't a server side check, and we easily bypassed that. Fine. Now this is something, this is actually my browser sending me request, so I'll be turning off the intercept for right now. So you just learned that we can bypass, and again we can do the same thing. We'll be using Weebly and connecting to the URL, but I guess that will be pretty much clear how we connect with Weebly. Now we use Burp Suite to bypass it, and it was easy. Fine. Now what if we just go for the high? Do I need to show you that how again I can connect with Weebly? Yes or no? Quick, guys. Sir, can we do steganography? There is a private question to me asked by Mohammed Idris. Fine, that's actually a very good question, and this involves forensics. Fine, the question came from the field of forensics. Can we do steganography? Steganography is the art of hiding stuff behind files. Uh, to some extent, we are using steganography in our high level, but wholly we can't do steganography because see why we can't do steganography in real time. Here in this application we'll be doing it fine, but in real time, see if I just steganography, to be very honest, putting it simply, it is hiding things in plain sight in a file which you didn't expect. Or suppose there was an image file and I put a PHP source code at its back end in its metadata. Fine, metadata is actually nothing but data about data. So what if I put in embedded the PHP code into the image? Fine. Suppose that was done. Fine. I used steganography and I put in the PHP code. But see, for the file to execute on internet, that should be a PHP file. Fine. If I'm getting a reverse shell, that should execute as PHP. Yeah. And for Weebly to connect, the file should be with the extension of PHP. Yeah. See, the functionality here was telling me to upload an image. I can do steganography. I can upload a PHP reverse shell via steganography. But how would I get that the extension back? How can I do that? And how do I essentially decrypt that data that is hiding in the plain sight? Because I need a file with .php extension. I hope that's clear. We will be doing steganography live right now, a small part of steganography, but for real time this may be getting difficult because you need to really get live time access to server to append the extension. So guys, getting to high level, this is my favorite level because I have seen a lot of web applications possessing this level of security, and you can easily bypass that. Fine. So going to file upload. Now we have burp suite, yeah. Putting on the intercept. Okay, now we'll just rename this for hi.php, yeah. Now I click on upload. Again, the same stuff. This stuff, what security is high, fine. Again, the same stuff. Now I just type in here. That is really bad actually. Why is it telling me this, guys? I need ideas. What now? We have to do steganography, yeah, right? But anyone can answer me. What can we do right now? How we will be doing steganography? See, in plain sight, what? See, change. Yeah, someone just you can change the file name as high. Yeah, perfect. Now let's just rename this to JPEG. Yeah, that's what you're telling. Fine. This got changed into a JPEG, and I'll be browsing it, putting it up here. Fine. See, this is the content type, and I'll be just forwarding this, but wasn't uploaded. What's wrong? Now we don't need burp suite because this part involves some real steganography and some real reverse engineering as well, a part of reverse engineering, not really all stuff. But see, this was the hi.jpg, yeah, and I just put it in here. You can change the file name as hi.jpg and burp suite, but yeah, I can do this, but the server. See, the first thing is how we will just upload our file because as .jpeg it isn't uploading. Yeah, see here it is interpreted as image JPEG. I don't need to change the extension, but something is really wrong because we aren't able to upload the file. Yeah, where I'm uploading hi.jpg, this is supposed to be an image and not able to really upload the file. Anyone who can tell me the answer to this question, I will make sure that he receives a gift from me. How we can do this right now? Throw any answer. Tell me burp suite. Tell me we will ping. Can we change it to PNG? Yes, why not? I'll be just doing it. Don't use Google or that because I doubt that the answer may not even be available over the Google. You can use YouTube to view the answer, but I have configured DVW in such a way that all the answers that are present on YouTube won't be available. So you have time, guys. I seriously, just expect some good answers from you. If this was what you were telling, yeah, nothing. See, there used to be a concept where people used to put double extensions. Yeah, you'll see it all over internet. What they really did is they renamed the file like dot php dot png, and boom, the file was uploaded because they used a temporary environment called XAMPP through an environment that used PHP with vulnerable server, but my PHP is pretty much up to date because this is actually hosted on my own system and I always update my system. So that vulnerability won't be present here. So we can't use double extensions. Please guys, I really want answers. Just throw answers. There's no need to worry about whether it's wrong, right? I know it's getting late too. I'm running really out of time. But no answers, guys. Burp Suite is dead now. We don't need Burp Suite. We have to apply a little of reverse engineering and some stenography is already there. No, fine. So what do I really do now? Just look at this because all the web servers present on internet right now, you will find this vulnerability present everywhere. I'm changing it back to PHP. Going again here. Okay, I just need to. This should be uploaded. Yeah, I'm doing something wrong. Actually, let me just check over Google. Fine. Okay, sorry. Actually, I didn't change this stuff to image. Fine. Oh, not the image. I'm really sorry. That's it. Yeah, we done it. Congratulations, guys. We just bypassed some really good filter. And can anyone tell me what really happened? What we did? What we actually did? Yeah, that's the question. Yeah, what we actually did? We made PHP to GIF. Yeah, that's a pretty well explanation. See, we didn't made it to GIF, graphics interchangeable format, but okay, now let's analyze what really happened. See, this is the reason why I like reverse engineering. See, let's change it back to PHP. What really happened was I added this stuff here, and this is the format identifier for all image files that were encoded with this pattern. So GIF89A is the specification that tells browser essentially, hey, that this file is an image actually, and boom, server fell into our trap and it believed that yes, this is an image file. So this here made our job. So that was it to the uploading. Fine. Now how do we connect to it? See, when I'll be trying to connect to this stuff here, I just need to. I won't be able to execute. Sorry, I won't be able to execute it because for executing I need it to be a PHP file. See, the image DVWA hackable. See, if I try to connect to it via Weebly on the URL, oh, 1234 5 was the password. I didn't get a shell. See, this tells backdoor communication failed. I entered the right password, but I didn't get a shell. Again, a question for all of you. See, for this to execute, I need here to be PHP, hi.php. How do we do that? This is on the server right now. How do we change the extension? Anyone?
You have Fizan.
Use burp to change response from server. No, we can't use burp to actually, change response from server. How can we do that? Can you please? Actually, I have talked about double extension. We can't use double extension here because that was vulnerable in PHP version 5, but mine is very much updated and we can't do that here. That is a YouTube video, I know. This is present all over the YouTube that you can use double extension, but let's do something real, be realistic. You won't find this type of vulnerability anywhere because no one today uses PHP versions that are downgraded. So how do we change the extension right now? See, for this reason, this is the actual reason why we learned command injection. Fine. We will be using command injection to change the extension of our file. Any idea how we can do that? See, there's a function in Bash called mv that is used to file move files. So what it expects is two arguments. One is the file that we want to move. Second is the file that it wants to be moved into. So what we'll be doing, we'll be doing a relative file path. We'll be making hi.jpg into hi.php. And how we'll be doing that? See, we are currently in DVWA vulnerabilities and exec. So what we have actually the high level. Fine. So in high we use this, then mv, then I have to go back one directory, two directories. Now I am in DVWA. From here I have to go into fine, just copying this here. And now when I just copied the path, fine, this is the path of the present file that I want to change the extension of. To what I want to change? I want to change it into PHP. Hackable uploads hi.jpg to hi.php. So the command was executed. Yeah. Now if I try to, just look for this JPEG file, that won't be found because we changed the extension. We could have used CP that could have duplicated the file. But what if I try in PHP? Boom. We got the GIF89A actually because that's what we used at the top of this. And since our backdoor, was successfully triggered, we could just connect to it via the same method. Oh shit! I'm really sorry, guys. So we'll be doing this thing here, the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. ls. Yeah. See, we can now see all the files we have uploaded. Boom. That's it. We got the shell. So I hope that today we could grab this very important concept that how we could exploit file vulnerability. In real time we'll be dealing with all of these vulnerabilities, but file vulnerability is something that you face every day in your day-to-day life. So guys, for today's session, that was it we had. because we discussed some serious vulnerabilities, and I hope you really got the gist and juice from the session, and how we could really, use extensions. We used a little bit of steganography, still a little bit of reverse engineering, a little bit of extension. We worked with burp suite. Although I had planned to, demonstrate some real denial of service and brute forcing, but since I am bound by time and I have a class too, so I can't really continue. But if you have really questions, some good questions, or any okay, fine.
Fazan.
Perfect. Wow, this question is actually very well oriented, and this is a real time question. See, a server has file upload vulnerability. Fine. See, file upload vulnerability is a vulnerability in itself. Why? I'll be telling why. But if it doesn't have command injection, and this is the real case, you won't be getting command injection. Is in 90% of cases you won't be getting command injection. This is some real stuff. If you get command injection, you get the whole server. File upload may be present there, but why file upload is a vulnerability? See, when you contact a support form, when you upload your any query, or the support team, or the team, or the person who just views your files, fine, he or he or she may just run your file without that much of precautions. And if you were able to embed, see, all the files that you upload will be looked over by some personals, not talking of profile pictures or someone. But eventually, if you could get a profile picture, even people who could view that profile picture, you can get a backdoor to them. But in a company's perspective, the person or the support staff that will be viewing your uploaded files, that could be relative to any query. There was a query why my payment failed, and you uploaded the PHP reverse shell. Yeah, so that PHP reverse shell was executed in his system when he was trying to view your query. Fine. When he opened the file, maybe you told him that, hey, this is the receipt that I got from the server while I was making purchase from Flipkart or any site, and he got fooled and he executed the file. See, we were talking of PHP reverse shell, but you could embed a ransomware. You could do anything literally. You could install a worm on someone's remote computer. You could do lots of stuff. Fine. We can have different kinds of exploits. If a file upload vulnerability exists, you could do some real stuff. Any more questions, guys? See, bug bounties are always considered to be a program that is specific either about the customers or about their staff. Fine. So if by file upload you could just target their staff rather than customers, that also is a vulnerability. So guys, any questions? Any more questions?
Guys, if you have any question, you can ask within next 5 minutes. After that, we will wrap up the session and the workshop as well. So guys, if you have, you can ask, and please fill up the feedback form I had already shared with you. Please fill it so that we can get the your feedback as well. And as I requested to all of you to get the email from us by Tuesday with all the recordings linked within it and one form in it. Guys, if you have any question, I am unmuting to all. You can unmute yourself and ask any question if you have.